Hey everybody, this is Jason Creel and this is the Lawn Care Life. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my Graham spray rig. I had a guy the other day ask me a question. He said, Jason, I'm thinking about getting in a lawn care business. Should I get into mowing or weed control and fertilization? So lawn maintenance or weed control and fertilization. I said, well, to me it just depends on your personality, but there's some pros and cons to both. And I've done both. But today I want to talk to you about weed control and fertilization. I want to talk to you about the main piece of equipment I'm using for that is my Graham spray rig. And I want to go over the rig in detail, but I want you to try to emphasize a point you might have seen on the thumbnail of the video, but it's the return on investment, ROI. And I think a Graham spray rig is going to be one of the biggest returns you're going to get for a piece of equipment in the lawn care industry. At least that has been for me. So I'm going to go over that in detail, talk to you about my setup and how I utilize it for my business, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you if you're in the weed control and fertilization business, or maybe you're thinking about getting into that. You could do so. Graham is a regular sponsor on the channel, and of course appreciate their support, but I like to tell people I was a Graham customer before they were a sponsor. This is the rig that I bought when I started my weed control and fertilization company. So here's my rig. Some of you follow my story. I've mowed grass for a long time, and that was good. I'm not anti-mowing. I like mowing grass. I think it is a great business opportunity. But when I got ready to do something a little bit different, I was mowing and spraying, and now I'm basically just do weed control and fertilization. And when I decided to do that, I had a friend who's become a mentor to me in the industry, and he told me to go to Graham and get a rig. And so this is the one I bought. And he really emphasized the importance of a split tank. So let me just tell you a little bit about my setup. Now there's all kind of setups, okay? I've got a F350 flatbed. I like a flatbed. You can get the Zuzu cab over. NPR flatbeds, you know, and all that, and have more room on it. And you can use a standard pickup bed, or you can put a rig on the back of a trailer and pull it with a truck, you know. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. But this has become my setup, is this flatbed, because it gives me a lot of room, and I can put a bunch of fertilizer back there. Now, obviously, if you got an NPR Zuzu with a big bed, there's a lot of room there too, and there's room on those. You can have multiple tanks and things like that. I wasn't trying to get the most basic setup possible. I was pretty committed to doing this for a living, and it was my third lawn care business, so I wanted to get something nice that was going to last. So this is a 400-gallon split tank. So on this right side, you can see the little numbers on the side. That's basically just a sticker in that tube. And so that side holds actually 310 gallons, but I call it just 300. And the other side holds 105 gallons, and we just call it 100. So it's like a 300 on the right side, 100 on the left side. And you'll probably see these yellow valves right here. There's the one that's turned that way, and then those two are pointed up. When I have it set like that, it's pulling from the small side. Now, if I took those two on the right and flip those down, it's going to start pulling from this side. So the way it works for me is I will have, and this is where the split tank comes in a lot of variety of situations. So the way I've got it set up right now, let's just give you an example. I'm out here spraying, and I've got a pre and post emergence spraying weeds, and so on the right side I've got it mixed to come to spray out of this green gun right here. So this is a Let's Go gun. I've got mine where it sprays about 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet. I've got the green tip on the nozzle. Got the reel here with automatic wind up, which is unbelievable. You know, you don't want to be hand winding these things. So another reason I like the flatbeds, because it gives me room to mount backpack sprayers and things like that. So so on this right side, the large side, that's if I'm spraying out of the gun. And that's what I do a lot of times. Now, there's some situations where I might use a ride-on spreader sprayer. I've got a couple ride-on spreader sprayers. You see, I got this one decked out with some of my favorite stickers: Harold, Spiker, Toro, Lawn Care Nut, and Lawn Care Life, and just kind of personalize a little bit. This machine here sprays a lot lower volume than my actual spray rig. So what I've got it set up is, on the small side, I've got it mixed for this machine. So this machine's a 1/4 of an ounce per 1,000 square feet. That is 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet on the right side. So it's the same chemical mix on both sides of my tank, but the one on the left side is 8 times more concentrated. okay? Because this is spraying 8 times more volume out of the spray rig than out of this machine. So where does that come in handy? So you gotta be careful. I don't want to spray 8 times more concentrated on the lawn out of the spray rig. That would not be good. At the same time, I don't want to spray 1/8 the concentration it needs out of this machine, because it's probably not going to kill any weeds, okay? So what I do, I take blue dye and put in the left side here. Now you might can see right now I've got about 30 gallons, if you can see that little sight tube, about 30 gallons in there. And I put just a hint of blue dye, so you can see it's blue in the tank, just barely blue, just enough blue to be able to see it. I'm not trying to smurf up the lawn, if you know what I mean. These people paint their lawns blue and all that, just enough to be able to tell the difference. So the right side is basically clear, and the left side, it has a bluish tint. So what I'll do, if I'm spraying in this machine, I've got those valves flipped up, I'm spraying in the machine, it's blue. Let's say I get to a little yard and I don't want to use my machine, I'm going to spray it with the rig. Then I'm going to flip those 2 valves down, and then I'm going to spray it. Once I flip those 2 valves down, it's now pulling from the large side of the tank. So then I'm going to spray the hose back into the small side of the tank while it's still blue. I'm clearing all the liquid out of the hose, okay? As soon as it's not blue and it turns clear, then I know now I'm spraying from the large side of the tank, I'm safe to spray it on that lawn. Let's say I want to flip it back, then I flip those 2 valves up again, then I spray it clear back into the big tank, and once it turns blue, boom, I'm at the 8 times concentrated, which is what I've got it calibrated for this machine. So then I'm going to spray it back in the machine. So that's how the split tank works. Now, how else can you use that? It's not just for a ride-on spreader sprayer. It may be a situation like early in the year, let's say springtime, okay? And I'm spraying pre-emergent on my regular customers' lawns I've been taking care of. But let's say I get a new customer and I need to put some extra products in the small side of the tank for any new sign up I get. You know, I might have to try to kill some baby crabgrass, but on the new customers, I'm not really concerned about crabgrass, because I've already put a pre-emergent out before the crabgrass. So I might have some extra products over here in this tank that I don't have in that tank. Basically the same mix with maybe 1 extra product on the left side. And so I add the blue dye, and that way if I get a new sign up, boom, I flip the valves over, I'm spraying out of the small side. If I'm spraying my regular old customers, boom, I'm spraying out of the big side. Another example, let's say I've got centipede and St. Augustine lawns, which I do, but most of my yards are Bermuda zoysia. Well, from a treatment standpoint, a lot of times my Bermuda zoysia lawns are treated virtually the same. The centipede St. Augustine lawns are treated the same. Other things you spray on Bermuda zoysia, you can't spray on centipede and St. Augustine. So I'm going to put the Bermuda zoysia mix on the right side, the centipede St. Augustine on the left side, and might use a little blue dye, and so I'll know the difference. If you lived in our transition zone, you might have Bermuda zoysia stuff on this side. You might have turf type tall fescue on the left side. You know, it's going to be very important not to mix those products. So it's very handy to have the split tanks. Not necessary, but certainly is handy, and I use it very often. Now, a little bit more about my rig. Mine's got a Honda engine here, so I just crank it on this side. It has got a bean pump on mine. Bean pumps are more expensive, I'll just go ahead and tell you. But what I was told when I bought it was that these are going to last a really long time with low maintenance. So for me personally, I was willing to pay more on the front end to get the bean pump, and it very low maintenance, okay? So I'm not a handy kind of guy. I don't like fixing stuff, and I'm not necessarily the best on maintenance. So I wanted something that was going to be low maintenance, even if it costs more on the front end. Now, it doesn't mean that the other types of pumps are bad. I think a lot of times that they'll put a high pro diaphragm pump on there, probably a little bit more maintenance involved, but definitely at a lesser cost. And those are certainly good pumps that can be used also, but I'm just talking through my particular spray setup on this rig. One other thing to mention is sometimes, now I'm able to keep mine inside a closed building during the winter, so I don't have to winterize it, but sometimes if you do have to winterize it, I've got these valves right here that I can open up to drain the liquid out of the pump. In that situation, which makes it easy to, you know, to winterize my rig if it have to be left out in the weather over the winter. Now, obviously, putting it inside is a better option. Personal preference on the hose size. Now, I forget, it seemed like when I first got this, it might have had a 1/2 inch diameter hose, and this might be 3/8. I may be getting those numbers right, but I believe that's correct. I like the lesser diameter hose for a few reasons. One, I think you still get plenty of volume, so I don't think that's an issue. Like I said, I'm spraying about 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet. Another reason is it fits on this hose reel better. So when it was a larger hose size, it would fit on here, but you see my hose is wrapped up fairly neat, but not perfect. You know, it was like I had to have it really neat to get it to fit on there, because it would fill up the hose reel faster when it was a larger hose diameter. And a third, maybe most important reason for me is when you're dragging the hose around, it's just lighter because it's smaller, and the hose is not that heavy, but all the liquid inside of it, it's not a big deal. But when you got 200 feet of hose stretched out walking up a hill, lighter is better in my opinion. So I prefer the smaller diameter hose for your hose reel. Just quickly running over my rig real quick. Here's my truck. Got a box here, got a box mounted under there that I got from Graham. I've got these wooden boxes built here where I can put little handheld sprayers for spot treating, ride-on spreader sprayer on this rack that it comes in very handy. The reel over here, got 2 backpack sprayers. So I got a lot of stuff on here, plenty of room for fertilizer. Got a little chest mounted spreaders in here, got a little handheld blower in case I need to blow fertilizer off the sidewalk or things like that. So it's powered by Honda engines, been very reliable. I'll be honest, one of the great things I've had experience with at Graham, this is not because I just work with them on YouTube, but when I have a difficulty, if anything goes wrong, it's typically something minor, but I can call them up and they definitely stand behind their product. So they put me on the phone with Donnie or Chad or some of those guys that know more about spray tanks than just about anybody you're gonna meet. And they've been building these things for years, and they know the ins and outs of them, and typically they can tell me it's something simple. So for instance, one year I let it sit up over the winter, and I think I ended up having to take this off, and there were some parts in there I had to loosen up, or maybe I had the regulator, I had to take it off and clean out some stuff after it had been sitting up for a while. So it's typically something simple. The maintenance on it, I mean, you got the Honda engine, you know, a spark plug, oil change, things like that. And there's a grease fitting. I don't know if you can see it back behind this belt. And grease that, and also a grease fitting on this side that goes through the shaft that runs through the tank. So mine has got mechanical agitation on the large side. It's got jet agitation on the left side. There's also one grease fitting right here on the hose reel. So I hope that gives you an overview. It doesn't mean you have to go out and buy the exact tank that I've got, exact setup. They will customize it for you. So you may want an auxiliary tank to go do tree and shrub applications or something like that. So just tell them what you want and let them build it for you. But I thought it might be helpful for some of you to see what I have and to kind of go over in detail how I'm using it for my weed control and fertilization business. So as far as return on investment, you know, again, there's nothing wrong with buying a lawnmower and going cutting grass. I think that is absolutely fantastic. But this particular rig, now I'm sure, I don't even want to quote a price on what it cost me, but years ago I might have paid $11,000, $12,000, and I imagine it's a little more than that now, and that was with the exact setup I have. But when you think about the amount of money that this particular rig makes, and I tell people all the time, it's not a big deal at all to generate $1,000 a day in the weed control and fertilization business, and not really very uncommon at all to generate $1,500. And I'm talking about a solo operator out there. I can consistently do 20 to 25 yards in a day. Now I have a lot of small yards and things like that close together, tight route. It's not all just perfect and everything's going to work out great from the very beginning. But it is very much a money-making piece of equipment because you're out there spraying yards. You want your equipment reliable because the cash is there once you start building your business. And to me, it's worth getting a piece of equipment that's going to keep you out there in the field. You're not going to have to worry about dealing with problems and maintenance issues all the time. I'm Jason Creel. Appreciate you watching the video. There's over 900 videos on the channel. Been on YouTube for over 11 years. And so appreciate you guys' support. Leave me a comment if you got a question, or you can go check them out, grahamse.com. They've got all kind of rigs available. Check out their portfolio, and we'll see you guys in the next video.